What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be discussing with you one of the most common questions I get asked in the GoPed industry, and that is, what do I gear my GoPed scooter at? Now that can range quite widely depending on, are you an off-roader? Are you a racer? Or are you just a guy out there racing around town having a good time, just looking for a good all-around gearing? So I'm going to be discussing that, as well as chain length and how to resize your chain, and a lot more coming up today. So the first item we're going to be looking at today is going to be your pinion gear. Now these pinion gears can range from a 6-tooth all the way up through a 10-tooth. And your other sprocket you have to concern yourself with is going to be your rear sprocket, which is attached to your wheel. Now those can range from a 56-tooth all the way up through a 98-tooth. Now this is where it can get confusing on trying to pick the correct sprocket and what's going to work best for your needs. Now I've got a little trick that's going to be a nice little tip to help you guys out to factor in what's going to be the correct ratio for your GoPed scooter. So you guys got to be wondering, what are we doing behind these two beautiful PEDs when we're talking about gearing and gear ratios? Now quite a bit actually, because if you look here on your right, we have a full-blown race slick. And on your left here we have a stock Kenda 671. Now how does that factor into when we're putting in gear ratios and trying to figure out how to gear our PEDs? Now quite a bit actually, because if you're running a full-blown race slick, it happens to be 11 inches in diameter, and your Kenda 671 or your stock GoPed 10-inch wheel is only 10 inches in diameter from top to bottom. And we're going to be covering that in our ADA racing calculator of how to factor in your gear ratios and RPMs and etc. of how to factor in, if I gear my PED at this right here, it will give me this speed, and if I gear it at this, it will give me this. So that and more coming up next. Alright, so here it is. You guys all have been asking for, how do I factor in my top speed? How do I factor in what this gear ratio is going to give me on speed wise? How many RPMs am I going to turn in? So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We're going to go to adaRacing.com, put it in. The top left we have resources. Go ahead and click that. Scroll down to calculators right here. Go ahead and click on calculators. And if you look right here, and the second one down, the first one is the spindle speed RPM calculator. So this is for you guys that have the little hard tire PEDs with the spindles. This is where you'll put your calculator in. I'll be doing a video on that later on. But today we're covering the chain drive air tire. And that's going to be your second one here, GSR speed RPM calculator. Go ahead and click that. Now we pulls up this little calculator here. This is where you put all your information in. First up is going to be the rear sprocket teeth. You go ahead and put your rear sprocket in size there. Your front tooth sprocket, put it in there. The tire diameter, this is where I was talking about earlier, the slick or the stock Kenda 671. So if you happen to be running slicks, you're going to go ahead and put 11 in there. But if you're running just the stock wheels, you're going to go ahead and put 10 in there. Now next up here we have RPM and mile per hour. You do have to put in one or the other. So for those of you that have a little GPS built into your phone where it tells you your miles per hour, you go ahead and type it in there. Or for those of you that happen to know your RPMs, how many RPMs you're turning, you can go ahead and input it there and it'll tell your miles per hour. So kind of a cool little thing. I'll be going a little more in depth in this later on, but this is a quick overview of how this works and how it can be very helpful to you guys. So coming up next, we're going to be talking about chain sizing and how to resize it. So lastly today we're going to be discussing is chain and chain breakers and how do they work with the gearing that you've decided to pick out and run for your GoPed scooter. A question I get asked quite often is, I'm running such and such gearing. How many links of chain do I need? And basically the answer is I don't really know, because I don't set my chain up that way. I set it up where I put my gears on my GoPed that I'm going to be running, I wrap the chain around, and I size it that way. I've got a very in-depth video that I'll post in the link in the description below of how to break your chain and how to set it up properly, and you guys can go ahead and check that out. Before I forget, if you guys have any further questions, you can check me out on Facebook. I have a Facebook page now for the GoPed scooter. It's GoPed Derek Short, and you can check that out. You can post up, you can ask me some questions there. I'll be happy to answer them and do the best I can, via texting or messaging. So go ahead and check that out there. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'm going to continue making more videos, and thank you guys for all the support. Whoa, hold up you guys, before you go running off, I got to mention something because I know I'm going to get a ton of posts and a ton of requests on that, and that is these two yummy, delicious beautiful PSWS sprockets, and the question I'm going to get is, where do I purchase them and how much? And unfortunately, these are no longer manufactured. You cannot purchase them anymore. You'll be lucky to find them used secondhand, and they're going to cost you an arm and a leg just because of what they are, and they look so nice. So keep that in mind. The only ones you can purchase nowadays are going to be the Dave's Motors sprockets, as well as the factory GoPed sprockets. So if you guys have any, before I forget, the little pinion gears, you can pick up all these online. There's nothing fancy or special about these, they're just little pinion gears. So if you guys have any questions about these yummy delicious sprockets or these boring sprockets, let me know. Talk to you guys later. Thanks again for watching.